There's a saying out there, the bigger the runway, the bigger the plane can fly off of it. And with Knucklepuck re-releasing all of their songs pre-copacetic on a compilation album called Retrospective, I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about the runway that Knucklepuck built to launch their career. It all started with the re-recording of an EP called Don't Come Home. I remember hearing this and being instantly drawn to their sound. The first song I heard from this was called Give Up about a year after it came out because I found out about this band and this EP when they posted the music video for Give Up on YouTube. There's a YouTuber called Nate the Mate who already has a really great video on Knucklepuck's evolution. So instead of regurgitating that, I'll just point you to that video if you want a history of the band. Instead, I want to talk about the pre-copacetic era of Knucklepuck. I remember watching the music video for Give Up and thinking, wow, this is intense. And I know that it's very much not intense, but come on, give me a break. That was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. The breakdown at the end, the fact that it was only a minute and a half, the fact that it really didn't have a chorus that repeated. I really wasn't accustomed to anything like that, so when I heard it, it really was new for me. And I would continue to be drawn to styles like that for my entire life, like up to now. Even though Give Up was the first one that I found from this EP, Woodwork is my favorite cut on here, followed by Stuck, which I think has an awesome chorus and some pretty relatable lyrics. This EP has a wall of sound quality that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, listen to the opening of Dead Wrong. This is what I mean. It just sounds kind of yucky to me, and I know that's rich coming from a guy using this microphone. I feel so bad complaining about sound when this is my sound. I can't. Okay. Anyways, yeah, the CP just sounds kind of yucky to me. So I'm glad that they stepped it up in their later efforts. This still is a really good EP, and the positives vastly outweigh the negatives. So Don't Come Home got me pretty excited about the band, but my excitement would, no joke, triple when I heard their next release, their next EP, which is called The Weight That You Buried. It would build on Don't Come Home in all of the right ways. It would still have a little bit of that wall of sound thing going on, but that's just a tiny nitpick for what is otherwise an excellent EP. Joe's performance here is all time for the band. And of course, this EP contains the song where they would deliver the iconic Where's Your Respect line that Knucklepuck is forever going to be known for. And of course, No Good is a Knucklepuck staple. It's a fan favorite. Last time I saw Knucklepuck live, this was the encore song that they played. But I can't say that that's not well deserved, that this is like the song for Knucklepuck. It's a great song. You could make the argument, and maybe I'll make the argument, that this is the best that the band has ever sounded as a whole is on this song. Nick gets some amazing moments, Joe gets some amazing moments, and then their vocals are layered on top of each other just perfectly. Like they take their feet off the pedal and let the vocals breathe a little bit and let the drums get to shine. This is just one of those songs that I think really meshes together. It's where they found their sound. And you get to hear all that stuff instead of it being completely drowned out by the guitars, which Stuff is on a lot of their earlier works. No Good may be the fan favorite on this EP, but because I'm quirky and unique, I'll say that Your Back Porch is actually my favorite on this album, and it always has been. The opening line of Your Back Porch to me is just as iconic as the opening line of No Good, and I cannot get enough of the chorus on this song. Really, the whole EP is just great, and when I heard it, I was obsessed with it. And by this point, I was noticing a pattern of predictability in Knucklepuck songs. They were building to this massive crescendo, paying off with vocals upon vocals upon vocals, or gang vocals, or chants. It started to get a little bit expected and a little predictable, and all I wanted for Knucklepuck was more of that. I couldn't get enough of it. I had this album on repeat in 2013, and all I wanted was more Knucklepuck, but it wouldn't take long for me to get my wish. Like 8 months after the release of The Weight That You Buried, they would come out with a split EP with Neck Deep. On this split with Neck Deep, Knucklepuck would give us 2 brand new songs, and Neck Deep would give us 2 recycled songs. I always thought that that was kind of lame of Neck Deep to do that. But these 2 Knucklepuck songs in this split are so good that it's probably a blessing in disguise that Neck Deep phoned it in on this split, because I think they would have gotten completely outclassed and shown up by Knucklepuck. Gold Rush was the first song that I was really noticing the drumming of Knucklepuck, probably because it was one of the first songs that I could really hear it throughout the entire song. I remember hearing Gold Rush for the first time and thinking that it had a really off-kilter flow to it, but that's something that I really like about it, and it's very Knucklepuck to have a weird flow to their songs. The second track on the split, Fences, is just as great though. Nick, the secondary vocalist, kind of steals the show on this song, particularly in the climax of it, but Joe has just as great of a delivery. And when this came out, like it was so stuck in my head, I just couldn't stop playing it. I remember showing a lot of people this song in hopes that it would get them interested in the genre, but it didn't work at all. These are just a couple of great songs through and through. And of course, it just built up the hype even more. I was like, man, this could be the best up and coming band. And whenever I see Knuckle Puck live, I hope that they're going to play these two songs because they're just some of my favorites. And going back to that runway analogy, Knuckle Puck had been working on that runway for a few years at this point, and I for sure thought that they were about to launch a massive plane off of it. Surely their next move was to release a full length, but they wouldn't. Anyways, instead of a full album, they would release and announce yet another EP called While I Stay Secluded, again on Bad Timing Records. And just like the split, it would release in 2014. These dudes were so busy releasing music. I've always thought that maybe they just should have put those two songs from the Neck Deep split on While I Stay Secluded and just called it a full album. That would have been a hell of a debut. But no, their runway wasn't finished yet, and they knew they had a massive plane called Copacetic taxiing on the runway. And the hype levels would be off the charts after the release of While I Stay Secluded. It really felt like they had everyone's attention at this point. When this EP came out, I heard it and I was like, every song on here is 10 out of 10 perfect. And Knuckle Puck is my favorite band of all time. But that was when it released. And upon revisiting it, I don't think this is a perfect EP. I don't think every song on it is a perfect 10 out of 10. I'm not a fan of the song Transparency, for instance, but every other song is darn near perfect. And I love all of those songs equally. I just love Bedford Falls the most equally. Knuckle Puck had no business releasing something that good, but they went ahead and did anyway. I love how quickly Joe goes from shouty to subdued, but Nick keeps the energy up with his backing vocals. Probably the most emotionally resonant song that Knuckle Puck has released, and I think that it goes under the radar when people talk about Knuckle Puck. Like I said before, most people only know Knuckle Puck for the song No Good, but I really think Bedford Falls surpasses it in nearly every way, and easily has the best climax of any Knuckle Puck song, in my opinion. Alexander Place is my second favorite, another amazing song on this EP. I love the guitar intro, and the chorus is so infectious. But Why Would You Care is also an essential Knuckle Puck listen. I can see a lot of people saying that this is their favorite track. Really, every song on here for me is either excellent or perfect. It's only 20 minutes long, but after the release of this EP, the hype for Knuckle Puck seemed like it was at an all-time high. Everyone and their dog knew that the runway for Knuckle Puck was finished. It was finally time for a full length. Between 2012 and 2014, Knuckle Puck would release 5 different projects. And how long would it take them after that to release a full length? Not long at all. In 2015, they'd release a full-length album called Copacetic. It was pretty insane to witness and be a part of the Knuckle Puck hype train for those years leading up to Copacetic. It was just shocking how they kept releasing hit after hit after hit. And I didn't realize this until going back and looking at some responses to these releases, but it seemed like every single review just had to mention that Knuckle Puck weren't doing anything new. I feel like it really undermined just how special Knuckle Puck was to the community during that time frame. Sure, they didn't invent that sound, but they sure were learning how to perfect it. I don't know, I just thought I'd mention that here since it seemed like every review had to throw that jab in there. Like it's illegal to like Knuckle Puck without mentioning how unoriginal they are. But anyways, please let me know your thoughts on pre-copacetic Knuckle Puck. Do you like their old sound? Do you prefer their new sound? Sound off in the comments. I will be down there as well. And I also hope to see you in another video right here.